right. Well, hello world. The reason I'm here to talk to you today is because I am in a very bad situation, and the only people that can help me are the public. What's happened here is in January of this year, uh, basically a little background on the story would be before January, my manager, Carl Silverstone, who's from Regent Park, introduced me to a guy named Amil at his brother Ben Silverstone's baby shower. I was trying to help their family out in whatever way I could, including giving them money, employing Carl, bringing him to LA with me, paying 3,500 for his flight out there while covering 50,000 in hotel bills along with other expenses at fine restaurants on top of paying him over $5,000 while I was making nothing after expenses. But basically, what's happened is his brother Ben introduced me to someone named Amil, who's part of Reps Up XO. And Amil, aka Dream, came over to arbitrate spin and go for me after I already had an issue with Lost and Found nightclub where Mickey Manish's friends, including Baron Ha and Ellis Plenner, set me up inside their own nightclub to get robbed. So after that, when they stole my jacket, basically I punched a hole in the wall because I was pretty drunk at the time. And from there, I went back to the club days later to look at the surveillance footage, which showed them setting me up on camera, creating a diversion, then stealing my jacket. When the girl that I was dating at the time was actually a girl who works for them named Cindy Killian. So from there, after they stole my jacket, I went to the club, I looked at the surveillance, and got the jacket back through basically realizing that my own friends, quote unquote, had stolen this jacket from me, who all link back to Bobby Lang, who introduced me to this group of people. Bobby Lang is a massive drug dealer and a triad from Toronto who connects to Photo Will and another person named The Nash. So what happened from there is this guy, Amil, came over to arbitrate a spin and go for me, who I had been friends with for about a year prior. And when he did that, on top of paying him $1,500 for being there, just because I didn't really feel safe around the person that I was backing, who was in 80,000 makeup to me, and I wanted a friend to be there to arbitrate. So what he did was he stole my Rolex, which belongs to my dad, then a bracelet, a necklace with a diamond dog tag on it, and a ring that my grandmother gave me for my first communion. So, from there I actually took Emil to the basketball game, pretty much courtside, where he showed up in the fourth quarter of the game. It was the Raptors against the Cavaliers. And from there we went to Soto, and Paul from Serpentine showed up, who's one of the guys that runs this shop, which I believe Hal Silverstein owns, Ryan Silverstein's dad, aka OVO Ryan. So basically, what happened from here is I took him to the game. We went to Soto after, and Paul from Serpentine showed up. From there, basically, Emil decided that, he wanted to keep the Rolex and all this stuff he had stolen from me. I wanted to call the police and tell them what was going on. But from there, basically, the situation got progressively worse because after he stole the Rolex and everything like that, at the time I was still kind of involved with Brittany Ardeal, who I got a job at Toronto Rehab, my mom's office. And my mom said she wasn't really supposed to get Brittany the job, but she did anyways as a favor to her, to help her with her rent money. Brittany's roommate used to date Paul from Serpentine and also sell cocaine, coincidentally, meaning, she was able to sell cocaine because of Paul from Serpentine. Emil, the guy who stole the Rolex and everything, also had a clothing line in the store Contraband, which is another triad-owned shop where the owner's back and forth from BC all the time. So basically what happened is, after Amil stole the Rolex and Britney stole the phone, they had all these rap videos that I made because I wanted to become a rapper, and they distributed them all over the internet illegally. So at the time, I really had no idea what was going on. To me, it was just strenuous enough that I got robbed. Then Amil called me one day. He asked me to give him $4,000, and he said that he would give me some of my stuff back. So basically, from there, I went to meet him with the $4,000. I gave him the $4,000, and he said, "What 4,000?" He took it from me, he put it in his pocket, and he acted like nothing happened. When I thought we were going to make amends on the whole thing, I was going to get my jewelry back, and life would move on. But instead, you know, I was going to call the police, but my dad had given me the $4,000 to give to him, who had asked me not to talk to him anymore. But I did anyways. I gave him the $4,000, thinking that he would do the right thing and give me my watch and other jewelry back. But instead, what he did was he took the $4,000. So I moved on with my life after that, realizing that he was never a good friend. I went to Vegas for the summer. When I was staying at the Mandarin Oriental, all of a sudden a bunch of bikers showed up, mentioning weird things about 9/11 and stuff. Just because in one of the rap songs I said, it's like the Muslim Christian version of 7/11, which had nothing to do with 9/11. You know, I'm not even Muslim, I'm Christian Catholic, you know, specifically Catholic, and, you know, I have a lot of friends that are Jewish, and, you know, not really any that are Muslim, but I'm a big Kevin Gates fan who's Christian Muslim. At the same time, you know, I went to Vegas for the summer, and, you know, all these people were showing up, as I mentioned. It seemed very strange that this was happening to me. And the girl that was kind of starting to introduce me to all of these shady people, her name was Lily Garcia. There are pictures of her on my Facebook account. So from there, you know, she mentioned someone named Uncle Fester who lives in Romania. I had a federal agent named Mayan Shi come to stay with me because prior to this, in April, I was in Montreal, and triads at a restaurant that Baron Ha brought me to told me I was dead after bringing me to Bar Tokyo, where all of these Indian guys wearing OVO jackets from Toronto were. And basically what happened is, you know, they stole my jacket. They stole my jacket at Lost and Found. Then Mickey Manish came into Soto Soto, and at the time he already knew Amil, but Amil never said anything. He sent me a bottle of wine, and on Instagram you'll see a post from Photo Will recently about who wants to get their jacket taken tonight. He said that because they stole my jacket, then he came into Soto Soto and sent me a bottle of wine, acting like it was a friendly gesture, but really what he was telling me was, you know, I'm going to get you. And from there, I actually gave them $500 as a tip for giving me my jacket back. But they continued to create problems for me through stealing the Rolex and the other jewelry through Amil. And then, you know, from there, I guess, you know, when I got back from Vegas, you know, basically Micah Shatsky, who owns Borohead's bong and head shop at College in Spadina, said to me one day, "Do you know that Dream got shot?" And I had no idea that Dream got shot. And from that point, Kwaku asked me if I heard from Dream recently, being someone that I introduced to Dream when he was in town. So now, what happened is, they used my rap videos to try and incriminate me, claiming that I was the one who shot Dream or set him up when I had nothing to do with it. I've never harmed anybody in my life, let alone had someone get set up to be killed before. It's just not in my character. I'm not about a criminal lifestyle. I'm a famous, talented poker player that is just trying to live life playing poker. But I guess he may have gotten shot, or they're setting me up. Either way, I'm not sure what happened there. But as I was starting to date girls off of Tinder, they were soliciting me, and I was thinking, what exactly is going on here? I don't really get it. So basically, somehow, through my rap videos being distributed all over the city, you know, various friends somehow got on board with this plot, against me, by sending the videos around and other means. So basically, from there, what happened is my friend Jeff Plant Richmond all of a sudden became a very good customer of Lost and Found, wanting to bring me there all the time. Uh, I was no longer talking to Ben Silverstone at this point, who introduced me to Amil because he said, "Oh, the boys, I've been dealing with them for a long time. This is how it is, etc., etc." So I was thinking, wow, Ben, I'm someone that was there for you, when your son was born at Mount Sinai Hospital. I was there at the baby shower, celebrating his first birthday with you, doing everything I could to show you support and love, employing your brother, trying to get him towards a better life that was, relating to non-criminal activities, as he basically sold guns before that and then let his friend take a 3-year rap from him from Africa. So his friend Joseph. So now, basically, what's happened is, I guess my dad set up this Amil guy to get shot. So Reps Up XO went back to my father uh, with the Chin Pack from Regent Park, which is a gang that Carl told me bring me to Veggie Delight, where Anthony McGregor introduced me to, Anthony McGregor being the trainer, part of the Jamaican Shower Posse, who introduced me to other Shower Posse members from Montreal, including his friend Kadeem. So from there, basically what happened is Arthur MacArthur actually went and showed Drake these freestyles, but at the same time, Drake was already the one putting the muscle on me, because I had said you could tell Jello to bring the juice like he used to bring my 4 cheese. I also said I would out freestyle Obi O'Brien, and I got the MM in my head because my initials are Matt Marifiotti, but I got it like MMG, which I guess pissed him off. Along with other things, which I find weird because, when I was 19, I did a pilot with Lauren Greenberg, whose dad owns the Hazleton, where Drake lives, which is run by the Jewish mob. So from there, basically what's happened is now Lauren never gave me back the $75,000 for the pilot, which I mentioned a few times and has brought much tension to our relationship, along with him borrowing other several thousands of dollars that he never paid back or honored an agreement on. So, getting caught up with these guys was just a bad idea, as Joseph Zentiel, the other director of the pilot, who put the pilot online without my consent and never gave me a copy of the footage, also is a member of the Hells Angels, whose father offered me $20,000 before he passed away, who I believe was a good man. So, basically, from here, what's happened is they used Amil and the shooting and the stolen cell phone footage to try and frame me for the person who shot Amil, when I have no idea if Amil got shot or not. I've never sold drugs. I've never stolen from anybody. So I'm not exactly sure, why they're trying to frame me for all this, but I think it's because if my dad goes to jail, which they have evidence of him or his friend doing some wrong, then the whole mob goes down. So instead, they're paying off the police to frame me, which is completely ridiculous. And everyone's thinking, oh, this is so funny, ha ha ha, when really it's not funny at all. I'm about to lose my life as an innocent person who tried to give back to different people of different races and religions, while other people told me not to do that, not to be the person I was, but I never changed for them. I always stayed true to who I was. Despite making stupid rap videos when drunk and high, which don't matter or have any basis on who I actually am. So anyways, the day that Tom Regal, the guy that works for my dad, basically his father admitted he was a biker, he said to me, "You're a good guy, buddy, you just have some very bad company right now." So I kind of got what was going on at this point, which is, Baron Ha and Bobby Lang and all of these guys work for the Hells Angels. That's why their friend owns Platinum, a strip club in Montreal. That's why Marty Ross runs Platinum Sportsbook in Toronto, my uncle's friend. So basically, my mom sold my dad out as the person who set up Amil to be shot. That's why Kwaku was saying, "Your mom's the best." Anthony McGregor was saying, "How's your mom?" Etc., etc. Because really, ever since I got in that argument with her brother and yelled at her on Thanksgiving, she was mad at me, and for yelling at her other times. So because I mistreated her, now my mom was actually the one who had conspired this whole plot against my dad and myself, with the help of her brother Robert Corsi and the heads of the Hells Angels, John Kirpin, Marty Ross, and Rick Legier. So then, the Jewish mob got involved. That's why people kept asking me to go to Kasimoto, asking me all these questions about it. And I asked myself, wait, so who owns Kasimoto? Well, Mark Silver owns Kasimoto. Who's Mark Silver's close friend? Bruce Greenberg. The same way that Shale Silver and Lauren Greenberg are good friends. So from here, now basically, the top Jewish mobsters have decided that they're going to extort the Italian mob for all of its money using information that I gave Mayan Shi, the federal agent that I was working with since April. Mayan Shi did a background check on a bunch of different people, found a massive paper trail of money. I believe that the money has been laundered in Sunnybrook Hospital through Bonfield Construction and my dad's friend John Aquino, as well as into De La Salle College, where I went to high school at. So basically, now I'm being framed and set up while they are calling me crazy because I've figured out the entire case, which is my dad set Amil up. Mickey Manish called the hit on me through Amil in terms of they were setting me up the entire time. And Mickey Manish being a member of OVO Reps Up EXO. That's why when I went to the Weeknd's concert, Travis Scott was so shocked to see me, and I'm thinking, why does his face have such shock on it? When I left the concert, when the Weeknd got on stage, he was also kind of shocked to see me, and I was just a fan of his going to the concert. But what I realized is, basically, the Weeknd knew about this whole thing, obviously, because Amil was in EXO, and that's why Baka, who I've had over to the house, like when Baka get back on the road, we made it, all that. I had Baka over to my house, and from there, Alex Lawrence told me Baka and the Nash had a lot of business together. So these guys are running an illegal drug, extortion, and prostitution ring. So they decided, you know what, we're going to extort the mob now. We can take these guys. So they're using me as a pawn to extort the mob for all of its money and set me up as the person who set Dream up to get shot, which I had nothing to do with, but they're using the rap videos to try and legitimize that I did, or to try and legitimize that I have a mental problem, neither of which I have. So, from this point on, basically what's happened is my mom was going to shoot me in the head. They took an air gun from my house that I was pointing to my head like this, which was clearly an air gun. She tried to shoot me with it, so I called the police to report an attempted murder. They didn't show up for 30 minutes. Then my dad called a third time, and they showed up. When they showed up, Naving, Turnbull, and Richards recommended me going to Cam H, where my mom had taken me yesterday, which I found really strange considering, I had reported, this attempted murder. I had reported this attempted murder that my mom was trying to commit on me. And days before this, on Halloween, my phone got stolen for the second time. But it was like my mom had asked me to go to this Halloween party, and within 5 minutes of being there, my phone was stolen by one of his friends, Andy Wilson, who links back to all of these cocaine dealers that go to Coda and Comfort Lounge, and they sell cocaine. So basically what's happened now is a massive ring of drug dealers has turned on me, which are actually backed by the Jewish mob. It goes basically Jewish mob, Hell's Angels, Shower Posse, Triads. So Bobby Lang said to me, Chinese Jamaican infusion, as in the Triads and the Jamaican Shower Posse have joined forces together. So, basically my dad has been out-muscled and is some big mobster, which I had no idea about, who was the boss of all of those guys, but they've now overturned him. They were extorting him for all the money, and he's being forced to play me off as crazy, prescribe me medicine I don't need, which is antipsychotic medicine, when really all I'm trying to do is play poker, relax, and live my life. While they are actually seizing all of my assets, trying to seize my half of a $3 million home, and using the power of corrupt police, corrupt political power, and corrupt lawyers to try and stop me, which is ridiculous. They also tried to frame me as the person responsible for the shooting of this Dream character, who was obviously wrong to steal my stuff, but after that I just dropped it. And from there, I guess my dad's friends set him up if he did get shot, and now they're actually trying to pin it on me so they don't go down, which is the ultimate sign of cowardice. Because I would have never told them to shoot him over this. I would have never asked anybody to shoot anybody. So I think this whole thing is absolutely terrible. It's blown out of proportion. And obviously, the rap videos have been spread around the city. They've been spread around to some different hip-hop and rap artists. And obviously the word has traveled that the Ndrangheta Mafia is about to go to war in Toronto on October 27, 2015. This happened because I put my and she onto these triads that were actually working for the mob without even knowing they were working for the mob. And so he somehow traced it back to the mob leaders. But because I mentioned that some of the biggest mobsters were hotel owners, that pissed him off. And now Mayan Shi and other corrupt federal agents are part of this extortion ring. So basically, after I called the police and the attempted murder charge, they asked me to go to Cam H, where my mom had suggested for the first time after Tom Regal said she had something to hide. So we go to Cam H. Basically, I tell the cops that I don't want to go the next night after calling in the attempted murder because I sense something very strange going on. I go back to my place, and from there I call the police again. I ask for some different officers. I say I want to go to the police station and file a report on these guys, which are the Nash, Bobby Lang, Alex Lawrence, Micah Shatsky, and all these other pimps and drug dealers that relate to them through Atlantis and Club Pro, two places run by the Hells Angels. So now I'm starting to figure out that even the poker games are being run by the Hells Angels, where Pat Quinn and John Savides work, linking back to the IRA and the Hells Angels in Montreal through his brother in the Irish Embassy pubs. So basically everyone has turned on the Italian mob, and they used me as a pawn to do so, through figuring out that my dad was one of the bosses and could lead them to the top leaders of the Italian mob. So now what's happened is they admitted me to the mental home, where my dad once told me in the past, sometimes the gangbangers come into the hospital to finish them off. Now I understand that the hospitals are run by the mob, and all the money they donate gives them power. And this power basically allows them to control and corrupt doctors, other hospital workers, to allow gangbangers to come into the hospital and to hurt people while claiming that police can't interfere with a hospital zone, when really they're actually murdering people right in the hospitals. So what's happening here is, that's why after my mom nodded at my dad that way on September 13th, and I asked my dad, did you know Dream got shot? He said no, because he would have been brought to the hospital, so I would have known. He also told me, oh, they're being watched by police. Well, it's because, my dad told me he has a special relationship with the chief of police, as in the city of Toronto is run by the mob, one way or another. And now there's been a shift in power between the Italian mob and the Jewish mob, which they blame me for through a song that was created about me by Seriously Serious called I'm Such an Awesome Guy, Those Logs Are Just a Lie, Mafioso Will Kill All You, where I referenced a situation where someone had owed me $200,000, and then my dad's friend somehow got me the money back, which I didn't ask many questions about. I just told him the story about what happened, and my dad said, that's fine, we just wanted to know, etc. He said, I'll get you the money back. So he did, and I never questioned it again. But basically, on the way down to Vegas, John Zulis had asked me, have you ever had a little taste of hell? He's also friends with a lot of Hells Angels, along with John Savides and these other Greek guys that run poker games in Toronto that are actually, they use house players and high rake to, basically cheat people out of their money at these games, which is aside from the point. The point is my dad set Dream up to get shot, in my view, and now they're trying to frame me for it, along with other things, because my parents are being extorted because my mom sold my dad out as a top member of the mob. So now the Hells Angels are extorting my dad for all of his money. The Hells Angels are backed by the Jewish mob, hence the name Hells Angels, and the Triads and the Jamaican Shower Posse are working for the Hells Angels. So what's happened here is I'm being completely screwed. I'm being framed by my own family. They are setting me up to be killed while claiming that I have a mental problem I don't have, and seizing all of my assets, including $1.5 million in my house, all of my watches and other various things. So because of this, I ask you for your help because, who's in the Jewish mob that relates to Amil? Reps up XO. Well, Drake is in the Jewish mob. Drake lives in the Hazelton. Did I piss Lauren Greenberg off? Yes, I did. But did he stiff me out of the 75 grand, the pilot, the rest of it? Yes, he did. That's why Kwaku asked me, have you heard from Dream at all? And this entire thing links together. Robert Faisal met me for lunch after I told him that I had, met with his fiance, etc. And he basically said, what else did she tell you about me besides the fact I have 8 bullet holes in me and I work for the royal family in Abu Dhabi? So that means that Robert Faisal is the frontman for the Jewish Mafia, which is the Hamza gang that Britney joined. At the end of the day here, this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is actually happening. That's why when I was in CAMH facility, all these gangbangers were asking me questions saying, we need this to happen now. And a guy came in, he put foot scrubs on, he sat down beside me. I brought a book there linking Nash, Alex Lawrence, Micah Shatsky, Bobby Lang, Club Pro, Atlantis, Rex, Eladio Alicorn, all together as the Triads, Hells Angels, Contraband, Serpentine, and the rest of it. So from there, now I literally found myself fighting for my life against all of the patients in CAMH, while the staff literally did nothing to help me because they are actually paid to be corrupt. So basically what's happened here is, they put me on the 5th floor. From there, people were writing out suicide notes for me, chasing me around with razor blades, which Adam Baroni was a witness to. Because of that, I was released from the facility within 48 hours. But now my dad wouldn't let me go back into my own house for 2 weeks, which I own half of, which is illegal, as well as illegally withholding my passport. So I went to university to try and apply for a passport. I went to the airport where I was thrown in cuffs. I was brought to Etobicoke General Hospital. A police officer admitted that he was getting money to bring me there, and I asked him, so is this because my dad is a mafioso? And basically, he spilled my friend's blood, now he's going to spill my blood. And then he said, oh, yes. And he was surprised that I wasn't the shooter, the person that set him up or something, because of these stupid rap videos that have circulated throughout the internet. And now I finally realize that my dad probably set this guy up the same way that he's being forced to set me up now. By Carl Silverstone's friends, Amil, the Chin Pack, Mickey Manish, and this entire group that links back to the Hells Angels and the Jewish mob, which control the Jamaican Shower Posse and the Triads. So from there, I was put into Etobicoke General Hospital. I was given more medication against my will. I was placed into handcuffs when going there for no reason, when I just asked the Nexus official where I could get a passport. So from there, I realized the entire city is basically corrupted by these mobs. And that's why when I went to the Shangri-La and the Hazelton, there was something very strange going on there. They put me in room 313, as in Eminem, Fuck Free World 313. My phone didn't work in the room. And, basically, when I was at Sunnybrook, my dad was trying to get me to stay there longer when there was no reason for me to be there. And I don't have a mental problem, but really what's happened is this entire situation revolving around the spin and go, the falling out with my uncle and his friends being the heads of the Hells Angels. Then at my uncle's ex-wife's funeral, I basically said that Rick, who my mom had an affair with, was making sexual insinuations towards my mom to her sister Aunt Joe. And I said, I really don't appreciate that. I'll deal with him myself. Then I told Amil, I had a fight with the Hells Angels guy. I'm on my way back now. Let's go deal with this. So Amil and her friends, Katie Blocka was dating this guy Shifter, who's a Somali ras from Montreal, whose friends have run into trouble with the mob and been killed before. So basically from there, it's been discovered that Toronto was really controlling the Montreal and New York mafias from Toronto, at least in the Italian sense, and probably in the Jewish sense too. So now that all of this has been revealed, there is being a complete shift in power. Mark Saunders, the chief of police, is probably very well aware of what's going on, as I've called the RCMP, the Toronto Police, the DEA, the FBI, yet nobody wants to come forward and stand up for what's right here, because these mobsters have billions of dollars and they're putting money behind all of this in order to now get rid of me. But they've temporarily taken the heat off because they already played me off as having a mental disorder. I implicated them all on Instagram and Twitter, and Drake and The Weeknd, as well as others, are very well aware of what's going on. That's why everybody's staying clear of this entire situation, including some of my own friends who were bringing me to Lost and Found on the behalf of Ben Silverstone and all of these other people who were involved. That's the end of my story, but basically I'm being set up, and that's why they're trying to claim I have a mental problem, just because I know all of this information in relation to this one idea, and other than that, all I want to do is play poker, relax, and have the money that's owed to me. But if I go back to Toronto, they're going to try and get me locked in a mental institution against my will, which is just illegal, because first of all, my parents, they aren't my legal guardians. I'm 27 years old, and I want absolutely nothing to do with them after they basically left me on my deathbed intentionally. My dad said, you set me up. Who's the boss? Me. That gave it all away. I've imported some of the #1 mobsters in the country. Okay, so they found this huge paper trail of money. They've caught you, and now you're paying off hundreds of millions in extortion money. We get it. And it all revolved around me and my having this guy Amil over from the spin and go, because Mickey Manish set me up ever since he gave me the jacket back. He said, you know what? I'm going to back this guy Amil to set this whole thing up. Then, clearly there was, a war of muscle going on where the Jewish mob stepped in and said, here, we're going to handle this now because we can actually bite off as much as we chew, which are, we are as big as the Italian mafia. Nobody really knows about us, and now here we are, you know. So basically, hand over all the money now. That's why P Rain did Off the Books, you know, and all of this various stuff is happening. Everyone's like, "Oh, OVO, you're so cool. You're taking the Italian mob." Well, you know what? You're also taking an innocent person's life who you're trying to play off as having a mental disorder that really just wanted to become a rapper. So you stole all of his cell phone footage, you distributed it around the whole city, and it's all over my Instagram and Twitter. I've called the Toronto Police, the RCMP, the FBI, the DEA. I've talked to CNN, NBC. So this is what's actually happening. You know, and the fact that no one wants to stand up to this corruption is sad. Because at the end of the day, it all revolves around this. And other than this, you know, I live my life in a very normal way. You know, it's unfortunate that I ran into this situation because obviously I love my family very much, and I'm disappointed that this happened with them. But I never, ever thought in a million years that my mom would have sold my dad out as this guy that I never really knew he was. And on top of that, I never realized that my dad was capable of shooting or killing people or setting them up, you know, which my mom sold him out for to the Hells Angels because of her uncle, her brother, sorry, my uncle, Robert Corsi, his friends, John Kirpin, Marty Ross, and Rick Legier. So this is currently what's going on. Everyone's after my dad's money, so now they're taking it all. My dad blames me for all of this because he's thinking, why couldn't you just, you know, handle things differently? And I asked him, I said, Dad, can you help me with the spin and go? Obviously with my Uncle Robert, you know, he was making fun of me a lot. Maybe I shouldn't have spoken harshly to him or yelled at my mom, but that doesn't justify them trying to kill me and playing me off as having a mental disorder. It doesn't justify them locking me up in mental facilities against my will. It doesn't justify them trying to frame me through rap videos or to have me killed. So I'll leave it on that note. But basically Drake's in the Illuminati. I wonder if the Jewish mob controls the Illuminati. I wonder how the FBI and DEA aren't really doing anything about an illegal drug pipeline and all this stuff. And I've finally realized that I think, you know, Mayan Shi runs this, you know, corrupt ring, which is part of the Illuminati. Drake's a part of the Illuminati. So this could be the Illuminati that is now, you know, playing me off as having a mental disorder. That's why Travis Scott had a picture of himself in a straitjacket. Oh, I'm all tied up. Then he basically had a Joker mask on with aces on his neck. These are hints. These are clues. And then when I went and saw Travis Scott in the weekend live in concert, it became even more obvious because people were saying he knows. Travis Scott's mouth dropped. Then, you know, Alex Lawrence said, do you want to go to the weekend concert? When he already knew that I was there. You know, Bobby Lang tried to stop me from going, said, no, don't go to the weekend concert, come to Cameo, which is this place where they all hang out at in Woodbridge. So I've now realized that this whole group, Bobby Lang, Photo Will, Mickey Manish, OVO, Reps Up, EXO, has basically extorted my dad, using me as a pawn. My dad set this guy up to get shot. The Jewish mob stepped in on Drake's behalf. Drake had to apologize to my dad's friend before, as John Aquino told me. So now I've started this entire fucking war that I'm stuck in the middle of, all through having a big mouth and really not knowing what the fuck was going on or what I was getting involved in, which is now some of the most serious stuff I could have ever imagined. So I'm urging you, the public, to get my story out there, to get it out to officials and anybody willing to help and stand up for the right thing. Thank you.